Just how fast is Luffy, really? In this video, I'll be scaling his speed with as little bias as possible, using what I call the best bare minimum approach. That means I'll dive into all purely canon sources, like the manga, the anime, and direct author statements, and find Luffy's best confirmed feats. Then I'll scale those feats down to their most conservative, reliable minimums. Now, let's start with Luffy's earliest relevant speed feats, beginning in the Skypiea arc. There are a few major moments worth breaking down. First, during their encounter with Enel, both Nami and Usopp were able to dodge his lightning strikes from very close range. Real-world lightning travels at around Mach 300 or more, meaning even the two weakest members of the crew showed massively hypersonic reaction and combat speeds at that point. Second, despite dodging lightning, Usopp was completely helpless against Enel's physical attacks. That tells us Enel's physical strikes were significantly faster than Mach 300. Third, there are some key details we need to factor in. 1. Enel wasn't taking Nami or Usopp seriously. So all of that speed? That was casual. 2. Enel had base-level observation haki, which, similar to the Sharingan, lets him predict movements. For consistency's sake, I'll assume he wasn't using haki against Nami and Usopp because they posed no threat. But against Luffy, he was going all out. Lightning plus observation haki. At first, it overwhelmed Luffy, until he started fighting with what he called his instinct. That instinct was actually his observation haki beginning to awaken. So, let's wrap this up in a neat little bow. Nami and Usopp dodged Enel's lightning casually, which already puts them around Mach 300 plus. Against Luffy, Enel cranked things up with haki and full power. But even then, a fatigued and injured Luffy kept up while dragging around a giant golden ball. That ball, it weighed in at a minimum of 17,000 pounds. Taking all of this into account, both Luffy and Enel should be sitting comfortably in the low to mid, massively hypersonic plus range, with potential peaks at the high end of that tier. If I had to throw out a number, I'd estimate Luffy's speed here falls between Mach 1,500 and Mach 8,000. The next step in Luffy's journey brings us to the Long Ring, Long Land arc, an arc surrounded by a fair bit of controversy. There are two things worth discussing here, starting with the most debated, whether or not Fox